Fairfaye. On behalf of the Schomberg Society Kilkeel, we'd like to welcome you all to celebrate the birthday of the famous Scottish poet Robbie Burns. Robbie Burns was born on the 25th of January 1759. We're celebrating his 263rd birthday this year. Burns' birthday is celebrated all over the world in very traditional fashion, with Burns suppers and events held to celebrate the great bard and his writings, all of which were in his native Scots language. Burns Night is an important date in the Ulster-Scots calendar, where we get together to celebrate all that's best in Scots and Ulster-Scots culture, including music, dance, poetry and song. Tonight finishes off our first ever Robbie Burns Festival here in Kilkeel. It's been a terrific week of events, including Burns gatherings, Ulster-Scots cookery and singing performances, a Rabbie Burns Ulster-Scots exhibition and workshops on Ulster-Scots poetry and song. A special mention of thanks to the Ulster-Scots Agency, who have sponsored a lot of the activity this week. This, of course, is the 24th annual Burns Night that the Schomberg Society have held here in Kilkeel. In normal times, we'd all be here in a packed room in the Kilmurray Arms. However, because of COVID, we felt it more appropriate that we do it this year online. That's not to say that we haven't got a cracking evening lined up for you, with lots of acts, both from local and further afield, for your entertainment this evening. Our evening will be a traditional Burns Night, with the piping in of the haggis, followed by the address to the haggis, and then we'll be having the traditional toasts that form part of our Burns Night. And of course a lot of Ulster-Scots entertainment, including pipers, lambeg drummers, musicians, singers, Scottish Highland dancers, and indeed a wee bit of Burns' own poetry. So do stay tuned, because you're in for a real treat. Settle down, put your feet up and enjoy Burns Night with us, brought to you tonight by the Schomberg Society. And so to the piping in of the haggis and the address to the haggis. And we're very lucky to have our very own Highland laddie with us this evening, Jack McGowan, all the way from Scotland, who'll pipe in the haggis to the tune of Robbie Burns' very own A Man's a Man for All That. Accompanying Jack are four of our Kirknara School of Dancers, Bethany Rees, Emily Hannah, Casey Nicholson and Morgan Griffin, who attend the Kirknara dance classes in both Reivers House Kilkeel and Mullertown House in Annalone. And as you'll see, all the dancers are dressed in traditional Kent outfits, carrying their swords. Carrying in the haggis is the Schomberg Society's very own chairperson, Gareth Cruiser. Gareth has a great passion for the Scots and Ulster-Scots language, and it's always a highlight of our Burns Night when he does the address to the haggis. And once he's finished that, he'll also give the toast to the haggis.
Address to a haggis. Fair for your honest, sonsy face, great chieftain o' the puddin' race. Aboon them a' ye tak your place, pinch, tripe, or therm. Weel are ye worthy o' a grace, as lang's my arm. The groaning trencher, there ye fill. Your hurdies like a distant hill. Your pin would help to mend a mill in time of need, while through your pores the dews distill like amber bead. His knife, see rustic, labour dicht, and cut ye up with ready slicht, trenching your gushing entrails bricked like ony ditch, and then, oh, what a glorious sight, warm, reeking, rich. Then horn for horn, they stretch and strive. They'll take the hindmost on they drive, till all their wheels swalled, heights belive or bent like drums. The old good man, maist like to rive, bethink it hums. Is there that there his French ragout, or olio that would stow a sou, or fricassee that would make ye spew with perfect scunner? Look down with sneering, scornful view on such a dinner. Poor Dale, see him o'er his trash, as feckless as a withered rash, his spindle shank a good whiplash, his neve a knit, through bloody flood or field to dash. Oh, how unfit! But mark the rustic haggis fed, the trembling earth resounds his tread. Clap in his wally neve a blade, he'll mak it whistle, and legs and arms and heads'll sned like taps a thistle. Ye powers a make mankind their care, and dish them out their bill of fare. All Scotland wants nae skinking ware that jaups and luggies, but if you wish her grateful prayer, gie her a haggis. Lads and lassies, to the haggis.
Thanks to Gareth. A terrific way to start our Burns night this evening. Thanks also to our very own piper, Jack McGowan, and of course to our Kirknara dancers. We also have to give a special mention to Sharon Hutchison, who very kindly prepared and baked our haggis tonight. As is tradition before the commencing of the meal, we're inviting our own chaplain, Andy Burns, to give us the Selkirk Grace.
The Selkirk Grace. Some him eat and canna eat, and some would eat that want it. But we him eat and we can eat, so pray the Lord be thanked. Amen.
Thanks, Andy, for sharing with us the Selkirk Grace, a very traditional prayer for the start of our meal. Now, if you're watching this at home, now's the time to get out your grub, tuck in, and sit back and enjoy the rest of tonight's show. And so to our first act this evening, the Kirknara School of Dance. Our dancers and their tutor Catherine have been working very hard in preparation for tonight's event, and we're delighted to welcome along quite a few new dancers to perform for the first time. This evening they're going to perform the traditional sword dance at the Mourne Esplanade, where the mountains of Mourne sweep down to the sea. Also accompanying the Kirknara dancers is Scottish piper Jack McGowan. Thanks to our Kirknara dancers for their performance this evening. It's brilliant to see the new dancers out performing for the first time, looking very smart in their new tartan kilt outfits, and it's great to see that Highland dancing really is thriving here in the Kingdom of Mourne. Now, in keeping with tradition, there's always a little bit of Burns poetry to share on Burns Night, and we're delighted to welcome along Ulster-Scots poet Roy Ferguson from Rathfriland to recite one of Burns' best-known poems, A Man's a Man for All That. Roy has written many Ulster-Scots poems and has recently launched his Ulster-Scots poetry book, so do keep a wee eye out for that. After sharing his poem with us, Roy will also give the toast to the immortal memory of Rabbie Burns.
So this is my favourite Rabbie Burns poem. This is A Man's a Man for All That. Is there for honest poverty that hangs his head and all that? The card slave we pass him by, we dare be poor for all that. For all that and all that, our toils obscure and all that, the rank is but the guinea's stamp, for the man's the gowd for all that. What though in hamely fare we dine, we're hot and grey and all that. Give fools their silks and knaves their wine, a man's a man for all that. For all that and all that, their tinsel show and all that. The honest man, though e'er superior, is king of men for all that. You see yon Burkie caught a lord, with struts and stairs and all that. Though hundreds worship at his word, he's but a coof for all that. For all that and all that, his ribboned star and all that. The man of independent mind, he looks and laughs at all that. A prince can make a belted knight, a marquis, duke, and all that. But an honest man's upon his might, good faith, he mauna fa that. For all that and all that, their dignities and all that, the pith of sense and pride of worth, the higher rank than all that. Then let us pray that come what may, and come it will for all that, that sense and worth o'er all the earth shall bear the gree and all that. For all that and all that, it's coming yet, and all that man to man, the world o'er, shall brothers be, for all that. So I was introduced to Rabbie Burns by my English teacher at school. I was a grammar school boy. I went to Banbridge Academy. And I was introduced to him as a poet of the English language. But he's not, is he? He's a poet of the Scots language. And at that time, I considered myself an Ulster Scot. And I was told that you spoke in slang. This isn't proper English. And they're right, it's not proper English. And here all of a sudden, I had a poet that I could identify with. Somebody who spoke in a tongue that I understood. And I'm grateful that my English teacher did introduce me to Burns, because she reawakened my Ulster-Scots heritage, which had been taken away from me to some extent by how I was taught at school not to speak. So I read Burns at school. I had the usual Ode to a Mouse, Ode to a Haggis, and so on. But I then discovered that a lot of Burns's work were actually songs. My love was like a red, red rose, I fond kiss, and my favourite, A Man's a Man for All That. It was written in 1795. So, being a good Presbyterian, I'm going to take three wee things from it, but promise it won't be the length of a sermon. I promise I won't preach a sermon, I promise that. Anyway, firstly, he speaks of poverty. In the first line, is there for honest poverty that hangs his head and all that, the card slave will pass him by, we dare be poor for all that. You see, Burns knew about poverty. Many times in his life he had nothing. He knew what it meant to have nothing. And in the days that he lived in, having nothing was exactly that. You know, there was no help, no welfare state, nobody to pull you out. You were often shunned by your families and friends because it was a shameful thing. You were viewed as worthless. He speaks of the card slave. Well, maybe that description is very, very apt for how he felt it made him feel. See, I think Burns' sense of equality came from that. He understood what it meant to be poverty-stricken and to be viewed as worthless. It certainly rings very clear and true, even today. Do we value people by their status or otherwise in life? Secondly, He speaks of integrity. At the end of the second verse, he states, "The honest man, though e'er sae poor, is king of men for a' that." I think that speaks for itself, to be fair. Integrity and honesty above all. Simple as that. Mind you, Robbie himself had his faults. He was certainly capable of being careful with the truth when it came to the lassies and when it suited him. There's no question about that. But we'll leave that for another time. We'll not talk about that now. But he had integrity at his heart, and it's something that we as Ulster-Scots value. Give your word and keep it. That's an Ulster-Scots trait, and it's one that we value very highly. Thirdly, he speaks of equality. The last lines of the poem. That man to man, the world o'er, shall brothers be for a' that. Again, that speaks for itself. It's very clear, very, very loud. How do you treat your brother? Of course you stand up for them. You protect them and you help them. And you don't ask for what the price of that is, do you? You stand for your brother. You treat everybody as you'd want to be treated yourself. That's what my mum told me. That's how I was reared. That, for me, is part of my Ulster-Scots trait, part of my Ulster-Scots life. I want to thank the Schomberg Society for organising this great celebration and inviting me along and asking me to do this toast. And I'm going to give you a wee verse of my own to finish. In the times we have the day, it's easy to look by, that we are only here a while, the blink of an eye. So let's no waste the time we have. Let's strive for every minute and make this world a better place, despite the times that's in it. Ladies and gentlemen, join me in a toast to the immortal memory of Rabbie Burns.
Thanks, Roy, for coming along tonight and sharing some of Burns' own words with us in the toast to the immortal memory. We're now going to welcome Ulster-Scots singer Rachel Hutchison. A local lassie, Rachel is a member of the Schomberg Society and a very talented singer, singing songs in both Scots and Ulster-Scots. Rachel's going to perform one of Burns' songs for us tonight entitled Coming Through the Rye. This was a poem written by Rabbie Burns in 1782, and the words are sung to the melody of the Scots minstrel Coming Frae the Tune.
Gin a body meet a body coming through the rye. Gin a body kiss a body, need a body cry. Ilka lassie has her laddie and they say hey I. Yet all the lads they smile at me when coming through the rye. Gin a body meet a body coming frae the tune. Gin a body kiss a body, need a body froon. Ilka lassie has her laddie and they say hey I. Yet all the lads they smile at me when coming through the rye. Among the train there is a swain, I darely loo myself. But what his name or where his aim I dinna care to tell. Ilka lassie has her laddie and they say hey I. Yet all the lads they smile at me when coming through the rye. Body meet a body coming frae the whale. Gin a body kiss a body, need a body till. Ilka lassie has her laddie and they say hey I. Yet all the lads they smile at me when coming through the rye. Oh, gin a body meet a body coming through the rye. Gin a body kiss a body, need a body cry. Ilka lassie has her laddie and they say hey I. Yet all the lads they smile at me when coming through the rye. Ilka lassie has her laddie and they say hey I. Yet all the lads they smile at me when coming through the rye.
Thanks, Rachel, for that lovely rendition of Burns' own Coming Through the Rye. Next up is drama performer Andrew Tinney, who hails from the northwest of Northern Ireland. Andrew's been working with the Schomberg Society for a number of years now and has done recent projects including a drama with Kilkeel Primary School. Andrew's going to perform for us a short sketch to give you all a better understanding of the character Robbie Burns himself. He'll finish off with the traditional toast to the lassies.
Picture this, fair people. It is the 25th of January in the year 1759. Outside a small village in the Scottish Highlands called Alloway, there's a wee hoose. And in this wee hoose, there is a husband and there is a wife. And they are overjoyed, for they are about to welcome into the world their first child. That is, until a storm from the very heavens above rages down on top of them and threatens to squash the wee house on top of the new mummy and daddy to be. Now, this would be something that normally would pass without remark, but it just so happens that on this particular night, that was my mummy and daddy, and I was the wee babby about to be born. Although I've always liked to think of it as God's way of announcing my birth into the world. That was William and Agnes Burns, my mummy and daddy. And I grew up on that wee farm in Alloway, and all the various different farms that my father owned throughout the years, and didn't have very much financial success with. It was my mother who I was closest to. And as I was out tilling the fields at a young age, she sang to me, and she told me stories, poems and yarns, different things, filling my head with all of these artistic notions. From a very young age, when I took the plough up one side of the fields, and then took the plough down the other side of the field, and then, believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, I took the plough up that side of the field again, and then, hold on to your hats, ladies, I took the plough down that side of the field, and on and on and on went this monotony. I couldn't take it. I knew then I wasn't going to be no farmer, walking up and down the highlands, tending sheep. No, God didn't have a storm the night I was born for me to wallow in such mundaneness. No. I had to be something greater. Trouble was, I didn't know what it was at that point. Betty Davison, my mother's cousin, was my mentor, and she sort of harbored these notions in me as well of poetry. It was her who encouraged me to read, and I remember one book in particular, The Poems of Ossian. It was filled with Scottish heroes, Gaelic heroes that went off and fought these grand adventures. Men like William Wallace, Robert the Bruce, true Scottish heroes that I aspired to be like, or at least to write about such great men. As I grew older, I got away from my mother and from Betty Davison, who was much the same age as my mother, and took a keen interest in lassies around my own age. A very keen interest, in fact. The first woman to capture my heart was Nell, my handsome Nell. I wrote a poem about her. The trouble was, she was only available on Thursday and Saturday night, so I had to find somebody else to fill out the rest of the week. And I did. A lassie called Lizzie Patton. Lizzie was very much attracted to me, as I was to her, and we used to take long walks along our farmland, and, let's just say these walks ended a bit unscrupulously sometimes, because sooner or later, Lizzie ended up with child. My child. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is the 1700s, and as you can imagine, having a child out of wedlock is not done particularly in the eyes of the Scottish Presbyterian Church. Well, the kirk elders marched me and Lizzie on Sunday morning up to the front of the church, adorned us with the robes of shame, and publicly chastised us for loving one another. I couldn't be dealing with that. Because them church elders that were making me feel so small, they were at the very same thing on Saturday nights down the local tavern. I've seen them. But they were untouchable. The church elite. That's when I started to get my notions of equality. And poems such as Tuil Louse, I talk about that. About how, under God, all men are basically lice, insignificant. So why should we bow to these lords and kings? Why should we be treated any differently than them? Well, Lizzie had a child. My first child, Elizabeth. But things didn't work out between me and Lizzie because Well, to be perfectly honest, I got a wee notion of another lassie, Jean Armour. Oh, she was beautiful. She was more vibrant than Nell, and, well, she was more forthcoming than Lizzie, which ended much in the same way as it did with Lizzie, and Jean ended up with child. Well, I wasn't going to let the same thing happen to me. So I took Jean, and the two of us went up into the Scottish Highlands, found some random minister somewhere, and got married. I wasn't going to have another illegitimate child. Oh, no. Trouble was, when Jean's father found out about that, he wasn't too pleased, and, well, because there were no witnesses to the wedding, he called it null and void, and he wouldn't let me see her or the child until I could prove that I was man enough to look after them financially. But what was I to do? I mean, I had no money. Look at me. These looks only get you so far, you know. Our farms are failing. My father, he had died and not left me a penny, and his last words to me was that I was a daydreaming dolt who should take my mind off the women and my hands away from the whiskey and focus on the farming. But I couldn't farm. I was no good at that life. That life wasn't for me. I knew words, and I knew words. I knew words. Because I had written words down my entire life. For as long as I was able to write, I had written words. So I gathered these words, all the scraps of paper and parchment, and I compiled them together in what became known as the Kilmarnock edition. Well, this was it. Make or break. The Kilmarnock edition went out into the world, and wasn't it a rip-roaring success? I mean, sure, how couldn't it be? I am the baby born, after all, in a storm birthed by God. I was meant to be something special. Well, the Kilmarnock edition brought fame, and that fame brought a good deal of ready cash. And because of that, Jean's father permitted me to marry her. The two of us moved down to Dumfries, where, because of some more financial trouble, I had to become a tax collector. But that's neither here nor there, because I still roamed the Scottish Highlands, writing down all the songs and poems of the local people so that our Scottish heritage, our Scottish words, our Scottish way of life could be preserved forever. And then on the 21st of July, in the year 1796, a day very different than the day I was born, because the sun was shining and the path to heaven was open. Which was just as well, because it was on that day I died. A bad touch of rheumatism. Too much whiskey and, well, a tad too many women will do that to you. I died, surrounded by my wife and my loving children. Well, most of them anyway. Our monarch's hindmost year between was 25 days begun. 'Twas in a blast of January when blew Hansel in on Robin. Robin was a roving boy, rantin' roving, Robin was a roving boy, rantin' roving, Robin. And now, ladies and gentlemen, to finish, a toast to the lassies. I wouldn't have reached the lofty heights that I have reached if it weren't for the various lassies in my life. To start off with, I'd like to thank our mothers. My mother, Agnes Burns, she was the one that taught me all about singing, all about poetry. And without her, I wouldn't have been the man that you know and love today. It is mothers that teach us discipline, that teach us temperance and kindness, but most of all, it is our mothers that teach us how to love. So I say now a toast to our mothers. The next ladies I would like to thank are our mentors, the wise women of our communities, our teachers, our tutors, our sages, or just our kindly neighbours, those whose acts of kindness throughout the years teach us to be better people. I think on Betty Davison, my mother's cousin, who mentored me through much of my life and filled my head with some of the notions that eventually made their way into my poetry. If you've read Tam O'Shanter, you'll know what I'm talking about. So to all you lassies out there who teach and mentor, I say thank you. The final lassies that I would like to thank are, of course, our wives. Our better halves, those who, well, to be quite honest, without, I probably wouldn't get out of my bed in the morning, and I definitely would smell a lot worse than I do now. These women complete us, and they probably put up with us quite a bit as well. So I say a toast now to the wives of our lives, to mothers, mentors, wives, grand lassies all. I'll finish with my poem, Handsome Nell, which talks not about just how beautiful I found the ladies in my life, but how it is their soul, their very being, that is the most virtuous. Oh, once I loved the bonny lass, and I love her still. And while that virtue warms my breast, I love my handsome Nell. As bonny lass as I hae seen, and money full as braw, but for a modest graceful mien, the like I never saw. A bonny lass, I will confess, is pleasant to the eye. Without some better qualities, she's no a lass for me. But Nellie's looks are blithe and sweet, and what is best of her reputation is complete and fair without a flaw. She dresses sae clean and neat, both decent and genteel. There's nae something in her gait, gars only dress sae well. A gaudy dress and gentle air may slightly touch the heart, but it's innocence and modesty that polishes the dirt. 'Tis this in Nellie pleases me, 'tis this enchants my soul, for absolutely in my breast she reigns with a control. To the lasses.
Thanks, Andrew, for coming along tonight and performing your short sketch with us. Hopefully that gives you all at home a wee flavour of the famous poet himself, Burns. Now, of course, we have the reply from the lassies, given by our very own Schomberg Society member, Sharon Hutchison. Sharon does a huge amount of work behind the scenes in helping with our events and activities here in the Schomberg Society, and we're delighted to have her giving the reply from the lassies.
It falls on me to take up the challenge to reply to Andrew's toast to the lassies, and thank you, Andrew, for your lovely words. So here goes my response on behalf of the lassies here tonight, and yes, I mean the fair sex. Well, you know what they say, behind every laddie is an even greater lassie. Yes, you will find a woman telling him what to do, and if he didn't listen, she'll keep giving him that look. You ken the one I mean. Until he comes round to her way of thinking. In the end, we just smile and let them think it was their idea all along. Over 200 years ago, Robert Burns didn't need any help to understand a woman, for he was cheeky, a flirt, and very capable. Now listen carefully, men. He was very capable of expressing his feelings. What women want from men is for them to be romantic and to feel loved, and Robert Burns really loved women. As he told us in many of his poems, and this is the words from one of them, "My love's like a red, red rose that newly sprung in spring." I was going to tell you the things that us lassies don't like about you laddies, but hang on a minute. I don't think we've enough time tonight to tell you. So I'm just going to give you a few wee tips to help you along the way. A really important thing a woman needs from a man is to put the toilet seat down. And most important is not to miss the toilet. And if he really wants to impress a woman, whenever he bends over and touches his toes while he's down there, pick up your dirty socks and your underwear on the way up. And men, definitely don't forget, arguing with a woman is like reading a software license agreement. In the end, you ignore everything and just click, "I agree." And remember, if a woman says what, that doesn't mean she didn't hear you. She's given you a chance to change what you've said. Now, lassies, we need to remember, if a man says he'll fix something that's broken, he will fix it. And there's no need to keep reminding him every 6 months. And us lassies should remember that men are the best people to share a secret with. They'll never tell anyone. And you're wondering why that is? Well, it's because they never listen to what you're saying anyway. To be happy with your man, you must understand him a lot and love him a little. And to be happy with your woman, you must love her a lot and not try to understand her at all. I quite like men, really, for I've the same one for over 30 years now. You know what they say, A way to a man's heart is through his belly, and my laddie decided this long ago. But where would we be without our knights in shining armour? Yes, that's right, skinny, rich, and wrinkle-free. But all joking aside, we love them all, our friends, partners, and lovers, and most of all, we thank them all for not comparing us to their mothers. But if truth be told, I truly must say, we wouldn't have them any other way. Aye, these lads are quite the catch. They're handsome and they're strong. They make us feel so safe and warm in their arms where we belong. So I'm going to end with the words of Robert Burns, for he's the reason we're gathered here tonight. The sweetest hours that e'er I spend are spent among the lasses, oh. So before another minute passes, ladies, let us all stand and raise our glasses to the laddies.
Thanks, Sharon, for your reply from the lassies. Now we're going to have a change of style and welcome along our fiddle tutor, Sharon Richardson, who tutors our fiddle students on Wednesday evenings in Reever's House. Sharon is accompanied by two other members of the Maeve McCullen Accordion Band from Market Hill in County Armagh. They're going to perform three Ulster-Scots pieces this evening. Flower of Scotland, then Bonnie Galloway, and they're going to finish with Scotland the Brave. Thanks to Sharon and her colleagues from Maeve McCullen Band, and for the performance of the traditional Ulster-Scots music, some of which come from Burns' own poems. Sticking with our friends from County Armagh, we're delighted to welcome Stonewall Folk Group. No strangers to Mourne, they've been with us at many Ulster-Scots events over the years, and we're delighted they're joining us this evening for Burns Night. They're going to perform for us the first two pieces of a set of 5, Ye Banks and Braes of Bonnydoon, followed by Leezy Lindsay.
Ye banks and braes of Bonnydoon, how can you bloom so fresh and fair? How can ye chant, ye little birds, and I say weary, full of care? You'll break my heart, ye warbling birds that wanton through this glory thorn. You mind me, oh, departed joys, departed never to return. And oft have I roamed by Bonnydoon to see the rose woodbine twine, and like a bird sang of its love, and fondly say did I, oh mine. With lightsome heart I pull the rose full sweet upon its thorny tree, and my false lover stole my rose, but she left me the thorn with me.
Will ye gang to the Highlands, Leezy Lindsay? Or will ye gang to the Highlands with me? Will ye gang to the Highlands, Leezy Lindsay? Me bride and me darling to be. To gang to the Highlands with you, sir, I dinna ken know that may be, for I ken the road that I'm going, nor yet what I'm going with. Oh, lazy lass, so you know little, sign you don't know me, for I am Lord Ronald MacDonald, a chieftain of highest degree. Oh, will you gang to the Highlands, Leezy Lindsay? Oh, will ye gang to the Highlands with me? Will ye gang to the Highlands, Leezy Lindsay? Me bride and me darling to be. Oh, if you're the Laird of MacDonald, a great inn I know ye may be, but how can a chieftain so mighty think a poor old lassie like me? Oh, will ye gang to the Highlands, lazy Lindsay? Oh, will ye gang to the Highlands with me? Will ye gang to the Highlands, lazy Lindsay? Me pride and me darling to be. She has gotten a gown of green satin, she has kilted them up to her knee, and she's off with Lord Ronald MacDonald, his bride and his darling to be. Oh, will ye gang to the Highlands, lazy Lindsay? Oh, will ye gang to the Highlands with me? Will ye gang to the Highlands, lazy Lindsay? Me bride and me darling to be. Oh, will ye gang to the Highlands, lazy Lindsay? Oh, will ye gang to the Highlands with me? Will ye gang to the Highlands, lazy Lindsay? Me bride and me darling to be.
So thanks to Stonewall Folk Group for those two lovely pieces. And don't go anywhere, folks, as they'll be joining us again shortly. Now, for a change, we're going to have back our Kirknara Highland Dancers. This performance is coming from the Kilmurray Arms Hotel, and the girls are dressed in their sailor's hornpipe costumes and are going to perform the very popular sea shanty, Wellerman, by Nathan Evans. This is a version of the Wellerman with a Scottish flavour, featuring Scottish piper Jack McGowan on the Highland bagpipes.
There once was a ship that put to sea. The name of the ship was a Billy of Tea. The winds blew up her bow, up down, oh below my bully boys blow. Soon may the Wellerman come to bring us sugar and tea and rum. One day when the tonguing is done, we'll take our leave and go. She'd not been 2 weeks from shore when down on her a right whale bore. The captain called all hands and swore he'd take that whale in tow. Soon may the Wellerman come to bring us sugar and tea and rum. One day when the tonguing is done, we'll take our leave and go. Da 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 da. Before the boat had hit the water, the whale's tail came up and caught her. Hands to the side, harping and fought her when she dived down low. Soon may the Wellerman come to bring us sugar and tea and rum. One day when the tonguing is done, we'll take our leave and go. No line was cut, no whale was freed. The captain's mind was not of greed, and he belonged to the whaleman's creed. She took that ship in tow. Soon may the Wellerman come to bring us sugar and tea and rum. One day when the tonguing is done, we'll take our leave and go. Da 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 da. For 40 days or even more, the line went slack, then tight once more. All boats were lost, there were only 4, but still that whale did go. Soon may the Wellerman come to bring us sugar and tea and rum. One day when the tonguing is done, we'll take our leave and go. As far as I've heard, the fight's still on. The line's not cut and the whale's not gone. The Wellerman makes his regular call to encourage the captain, crew and all. Soon may the Wellerman come to bring us sugar and tea and rum. One day when the tonguing is done, we'll take our leave and go. Soon may the Wellerman come to bring us sugar and tea and rum. One day when the tonguing is done, we'll take our leave and go.
A terrific performance by our Kirknara team. We hope you all enjoyed that at home. The dancers have put a lot of hard work and effort into their performances, and this is always a very busy time of year for the girls and boys as they're performing at many events locally and further afield to celebrate Rabbie Burns' birthday. Now, it wouldn't be an Ulster-Scots event without the Schomberg Society performing some Lambeg drumming. But this time with a different twist. We'd like to welcome our own Lambeg drummers, Christopher Wilson and James Donaldson, to perform the well-known Rabbie Burns poem and tune Highland Laddie, which will be performed by Scottish piper Jack McGowan. Keeping you all entertained with Highland dancing will be our own Kirknara dancer Bethany Shields. Thank you, folks. A great showcase of Ulster-Scots culture through Highland bagpipes, Lambeg drums and Highland dancing. This is the first time in more that this piece has been performed with pipes, Lambeg drums and Highland dancing together. So we all hope you enjoyed that world first. Now we're delighted to welcome back our own singer, Rachel Hutchison. Rach is going to perform for us another song from the Burns collection, this time The Plewman. Of course, Burns was born into a farming family and reared on a small holding. This upbringing earned him the name the Ploughman Poet, and this poem and song that Rachel is going to perform was indeed penned by Robbie Burns himself.
The Ploughman, he's a bonny lad, his heart is ever true, Joe. His garter's knit below the knee, and his bonnet it is blue, Joe. Then up with all my Ploughman lads. Hi, my merry Ploughman, of all the trades that I can, commend me to the Ploughman. My Ploughman, he comes home at night. He's often wet and weary. Take off the wet, put on the dry, and go to bed, my dearie. Then up with all my Ploughman lads. Hi, my merry Ploughman, of all the trades that I can, commend me to the Ploughman. I will wash my Ploughman's sark, and I will wash his orley. I will mak my Ploughman's bed, and cheer him late and early. Then up with all my Ploughman lads. Hi, my merry Ploughman, of all the trades that I can, commend me to the Ploughman. I've been east and I've been west, and I've been at St. Johnston, but the bonniest sight that e'er I saw was my Plumman laddie dancing. Then up with my Plumman lads, hi, my merry Plumman, oh, of all the trades that I'd again commend me to the Plumman. Snow white stockings on his legs and silver buckles glancing, a good blue bonnet on his head, and oh, but he was handsome. Then up with my Plumman lads, hi, my merry Plumman, oh, of all the trades that I'd again commend me to the Plumman. Commend me to the barnyard and the corn movement. Oh, I never got my coggy food till I met with my Plumman. Oh, and up with my Plumman lads, hi, my merry Plumman, oh, of all the trades that I'd again commend me to the Plumman. Up with my Plumman lads, hi, my merry Plumman, oh, of all the trades that I'd again commend me to the Plumman.
Thanks, Rachel, for that terrific performance of the Plumman. We're certainly very fortunate here in Mourne to have such young, talented singers performing and promoting Burns through his poetry and songs. Now, folks, we have our final piece by the Kirknara School of Dance for you all. The team have been practicing hard to perform this special dance for you this year. And this is going to feature our Highland dancers from both the Kilkeel and Annalong dance classes. If some of you have been listening into our Ulster-Scots radio station, Fuse FM, then you'll have heard the ever-popular Scottish tune, Walking on the Waves, by the Scottish group Skippinish. Our Kirknara dancers, under the tutorage of Catherine Stewart, have put together a specially choreographed dance to this well-known song, and this has been performed at the Mourne Esplanade in Kilkeel town. So enjoy this, folks.
An island in the sunlight, laughter in the rain, pub whiskey in the darkness, it all feels just the same. Watch the sunset over Hainish, see the twilight merge to dawn, hear the waves caress the shoreline as the island carries on. I've been walking these shores all my days, but with you by my side I am walking on the waves. I've been walking these shores all my days, but with you by my side I am walking on the waves. There's two lovers on the Macha, and they walk down to the sand. Their silhouettes are on the water as they paddle hand in hand, and it's a game of sweet surrender when there's nothing left to say, and there are moments to remember once these days are long away. I've been walking these shores all my days, but with you by my side I am walking on the waves. I've been walking these shores all my days, but with you by my side I am walking on the waves. on the ocean, see the headlands and the strands, and you wonder what horizons will shape tomorrow's plans. And through the turning of the seasons and the cycle of the days, every drink's another reason to let tomorrow sail away. I've been walking these shores all my days, but with you by my side I am walking on the waves. I've been walking these shores all my days, but with you by my side I am walking on the waves. The surging of the ocean, the breakers on the shore, the echoes of our bodies to the lover's dream we soar. I've been walking these shores all my days, but with you by my side I am walking on the waves. I've been walking these shores all my days, but with you by my side I am walking on the waves. I've been walking these shores all my days, but with you by my side I am walking on the waves.
Absolutely terrific. Well done to our Kirknara Highland dancers and their tutor, Catherine Stewart. It's fantastic to see the team of dancers going from strength to strength year on year and their numbers growing. And we hope for some very exciting times for them this year. Now, hopefully you haven't all fallen asleep on the sofa and you're still tuned in with us and enjoying our Burns Night entertainment. We'd like to invite back Stonewall Folk Group now to perform another two well-known Scottish folk songs for you. We're going to have a wee group of tunes, The Round Tree, The 100 Pipers, and Mucking Out Geordie's Bar, and then that will be followed by Sweet Afton.
sweet Afton among thy green braes. Flow gently, I'll sing thee a song in thy praise. My Mary's asleep by thy murmuring stream. Flow gently, sweet Afton, disturb not her dream. The stack of whose echo resounds through the glen, and know ye wild whistling blackbirds in yon thorny den. Thou green-crested lapwing, thy screaming for bell, oh, I charge you, disturb not my slumbering fell. How lofty, sweet Afton, thy neighbouring hills, far marked in the courses, the sweet winding rills. How daily I wonder as noon rises high, thy flocks and my Mary, sweet caught in my eye. Pleasant thy banks and green valleys below. Oh, wild in the woodlands the primroses grow. The rough mild evening sweeps over the lea. Oh, the sweet scented bird shades my Mary and me. Through crystal streamed Afton, lovely it glides, and winds by the cot where my Mary resides. And how wanton thy water, the snowy fit lay, while gathering the sweet floresets, she stems thy clear way. Gently, sweet Afton, among thy green braes. Flow gently, sweet river, the theme of my lays. My Mary's asleep by thy murmuring stream. Flow gently, sweet Afton, disturb not her dream.
Thanks to the guys of Stonewall Folk Group. They were recently down with us performing at our Robert Hill Hannah VC Gala Ball in the Kilmurray Arms Hotel here, and we're delighted to have them back with us tonight to celebrate Burns Night. Ladies and gentlemen at home, please be upstanding for the loyal toast. This evening, in the 70th year of her reign, the first without her beloved and much missed consort Prince Philip, the Duke of Edinburgh, we raise our glasses to toast Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II. The Queen, long may she reign over us. Folks, as we draw to the end of our Burns Night, we really do hope you've enjoyed celebrating with us from the safety of your own homes. We do hope that this time next year we'll be able to return live and have you all here with us in the Kilmurray Arms Hotel. There are a number of people we'd like to thank for helping us tonight. So to all our superb performers and acts who've taken part tonight during our Burns night, thank you very much. I think you'll all agree with me that our Ulster-Scots culture, music, dance, poetry and song are all alive and truly thriving in the Kingdom of Mourne. We'd also like to thank the Kilmurray Arms Hotel for the use of their facilities for tonight's event, Take Two Studio in Kilkeel for their videography work in our production, our sound technicians and all our volunteers who've been working behind the scenes to make tonight possible. A special thank you again to the Ulster-Scots Agency for their continued support and for helping to fund our Burns Festival and this Burns Night celebration this evening. On behalf of everyone in the Schomberg Society, we wish you all a very happy Burns Night and hope that you have enjoyed our first Ulster-Scots event of 2022. Now, in traditional style, we're going to finish the night with Stonewall Folk Group and giving us a rendition of Burns' very own Old Lang Syne. Good night and God bless.
Should old acquaintance be forgot and never brought to mind? Should old acquaintance be forgot for the days of Auld Lang Syne? For Auld Lang Syne, my dear, for Auld Lang Syne, we'll take a cup of kindness yet for Auld Lang Syne. So here's a hand, my trusty friend, and gives a hand o' thine, and we'll drink a right I'll willy wot for Auld Lang Syne, for Auld Lang Syne, my dear, for Auld Lang Syne, we'll take a cup of kindness yet for the days of Auld Lang Syne, for Auld Lang Syne, my dear, for Auld Lang Syne, we'll take a cup of kindness yet for Auld Lang Syne, for Auld Lang Syne, my dear, for Auld Lang Syne, we'll take a cup of kindness yet for Auld Lang Syne.